Greetings, YouTube. This is Mary, also known as Lady Deities, High Priestess of the Universal Pagan Temple, and I'm here to tell you about the good word of my many animal-headed gods of the Egyptian pantheon. You might already be familiar with some of them, such as Isis, Osiris, Anubis, and Bast. Well, I'm here to tell you a little bit more about each of these gods if you're not familiar with them, and if you are familiar with them. Doesn't this altar look nice? I'm very proud of it. Well, first, we'll start off with the goddesses here. Now, moving from left to right here, I have Tefnut, the goddess of moisture, Nut, the sky goddess, mother of Isis, Osiris, Nephthys, Set, and Horus the Elder. I have a beautiful picture of Isis, goddess of magic, motherhood, wife of Osiris, mother of Horus the Younger, Osset, great of Heka, Nephthys, her sister, the goddess of mysteries and the dead, Hathor, goddess of beauty and music, Bast, goddess of protection and cats, Sekhmet, goddess of war and the desert. And now we will move on to the gods of the Egyptian pantheon. Moving from left to right, we have Set, right here, the god of chaos, war, and the desert. His brother Osiris, the god of the dead, and the god of fertility. Here we have Horus the Elder, a war god. Anubis, the god of mummification. And above here, Thoth, the god of wisdom, knowledge, and writing. And down below here, this weird-looking guy with the scarab head. That's Khepri, the god of creation. And right over here, we have Sorbek. He's a crocodile god, as you can see. And he's a war god, and also, he's a god of the Nile. And down here, we have Horus the Younger. He is the god of the sky. He's also viewed as the sun god and a god of kingship, as evident by his crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. And up here we have Ra, the great Ra, sun god. And down below we have a combination candle of three gods. Amun, with the blue skin, he is the king of the gods. And to his right, his son, Khonsu. He is a lunar god. He's the son of Amun and Mut. Mut, to his right, she is a mother goddess. She's sometimes depicted as a lioness. Now on to a bit more about these gods and goddesses and the myths that surround them. Now, you all probably know a little about the myth of Isis and her husband Osiris and Set. For those of you who are not aware that about the whole shabacle, rather, so Osiris was the king of Egypt for a very long time. He and Isis taught farming to the Egyptians, and that is why Osiris appears green-skinned. It's not because he's dead, it's because he's the god of fertility. And so Set is very jealous of his brother. He wanted to be, in charge, and so he devised a plan. He had a big party, and he invited a lot of people and a lot of gods. And they had a tall sarcophagus that he knew that only his tall brother Osiris would fit in. And so he said, whoever can fit into the sarcophagus can take it home with them, knowing that Osiris was the only one that could fit in there. And so once Osiris took his turn, lighted it, and the shoe fit, Set closed the sarcophagus on him and nailed it shut and threw him down the river Nile. What a brother. And so Isis found Osiris's drowned body, but with her great magic, she resurrected him. But then Set found out, and he chopped his brother's corpse into many pieces and scattered them throughout Egypt. And so, unfortunately, that left Isis very bereaved, obviously, being widowed twice like that. So she and her sister Nephthys searched Egypt for Osiris's body parts, and they found them all. And with the help of Nephthys' son Anubis, which I will talk about later, since Anubis is the god of mummification, he was able to mummify Osiris so he could become god of the underworld. But if you're thinking if you're unfamiliar with the tale, Osiris is dead, so how was Horus conceived? Well, Isis, with her great magic, depending on the tale, either it was after Osiris was thrown in the coffin and resurrected, or after Osiris was chopped up in 1,000 pieces, that they conceived their son Horus. Now, if it's the myth that Osiris was chopped up in a lot of pieces, and then she conceived Horus, it was because she found Osiris's phallus and was able to impregnate herself that way. Or there's another myth saying that she was able to fasten a new phallus for him with her great magic. So depending on the tale, there's many different variations to this one. But then, so Isis gave birth to Horus, and she obviously hid Horus from Set, Set now being king of Egypt. She and her sister Nephthys cared for the young Horus, who was growing up in the Nile, hidden from his uncle. But Horus wanted revenge for his father's death, and so when he grew older, his mother raised him for battle against Set. And so Horus eventually went to battle with Set, to battle for his rightful throne. The nephew going to battle against the uncle, that sounds a bit like The Lion King, doesn't it? And so in this battle, Horus loses an eye. He loses his left eye to Set, that Set claws out. And depending on the tale, either his eye is either healed by Hathor taking pity on him, or Isis gives it to Thoth, who turns it into the Eye of Horus, the great healing symbol, healing and protection. But, yes, another variation on a tale can be told two different ways. All these are because Egypt's history spanned such a long period of time, and so multiple, variations from multiple areas of Egypt existed. But after that long battle, by the way, Horus ripped off Set's testicles, and that's why the desert is barren. just in case you guys wanted to know. So now I would like to tell you the tale of how Isis became such a great magician. So Isis wished to seek more power, and the only other god that has had more magic than she did was the god Ra. And so she knew this, so she was able to actually create something with her magic. She created a snake, and the snake bit Ra. And with all Ra's magic, he could not cure himself of the poison. And so Isis was just conveniently right near, and he cried out for Isis's help. And Isis agreed to help only if Ra would give her his secret name that nobody else knew. See, the Egyptians, the word was very important. The word holds magic. And if you were to know somebody's magical name, you would have power over them. And that is why, in the pagan Wiccan tradition, that some people do not wish to reveal their magical names because you will have power over them. So, Ra gave Isis his magic name. And so, Isis had all of his power. And that is why Isis is great of Heka, great of magic. Heka is the Egyptian word for magic. Now let's talk a bit about Isis's parents, Nut and Gib. Now I don't have Gib's picture here. You can look him up online. It's just simple spelling, G-E-B. So Nut and Geb loved each other very much. Nut was the sky goddess. Geb was the earth goddess. Or earth god. Excuse me. Geb was the earth god. And they were separated by their father, Shu. Shu was the husband of Tefnut here. Shu was the god of air. And so they had to be separated by Shu, by order of Ra, so there could be air in between them and not just sky and earth. And so Nut wanted to have children, but Ra forbid this. So Nut went to her good buddy, Thoth. And Thoth, as you will see if you study the Egyptian myths, he kind of breaks people out of all sorts of sticky situations. He's a bit like Loki of the Norse pantheon, except he doesn't cause problems, he fixes them. He's not at all devious, the guy just knows everything, and he'll fix anything for you. And so Nut, she went to Thoth, and Thoth said, I can help you out here. Depending on the myth, either he goes to Khonsu, the moon god, or to Ra, and plays a game called Senet. And if he won, Ra or Khonsu would have to give them 5 extra days of the year, so Nut could give birth. See, Nut was pregnant for such a long time and wasn't able to give birth because she could was never allowed to by Ra. And so she got these 5 days, in which first she gave birth to her son Osiris on the first day, Horus the elder on the second day, Set on the third day, Isis on the fourth day, and Nephthys on the fifth day. And this was called Whip Rompet, the Egyptian New Year. which is usually celebrated by Tamaric Wiccans and Kemetic Pagans and Kemetic Reconstructionists around July and August. Now, it all depends, for some people, when Isis's star, Sirius, is in the sky at the same time as the sun and the moon in a specific spot at the pyramids. That is when the Egyptian New Year starts. And Isis's star is Sirius. And that is that for that tale. Now, I always like to include a little bit about what you can offer the gods, because we want to show the gods thanks for all that they have given us. So always a good offering that even the Egyptians did was offer frankincense and myrrh incense in the morning. That was offered to the temples of Isis, Osiris, Ra, Amun-Ra. All different gods and goddesses got frankincense and myrrh offerings in the morning. And if you want to give gifts to the gods, let's start with Set. Set likes salads and the color red. Let's see, I don't know if you guys can see. I did his candle red. Osiris, he likes Heineken. Anubis likes chocolate. Horus the Elder and Horus the Younger both like orange juice, oranges. Screwdrivers for those of you over 21. Sorbeck likes fish, obviously, the crocodile. Ra likes popcorn and oranges and rum. Toth, he likes writing implements, pens, pencils, highlighters, books, any type of writing that you could do for him. He just asks me to, study harder. So that's always a good thing. And offerings, I will skip Boss and Sekhmet, and I will include a link you guys can view of my magical cat video where I explain offerings to give to Boss and Sekhmet. Now Hathor, you can give her offerings of flowers, lotuses, beer. She loves beer. And music. Nephthys, she is my goddess. She's the one I am closely associated with. I give her offerings of lavender tea, lavender incense, amethyst, anything purple or lavender. She loves. Now Isis, you can give her offerings of tea, silver things, tiger's eye, incense and myrrh. She likes Chardonnay. Newt, give her anything that reminds you of a star. Or chocolate. If you're ever in doubt of what to offer a god or a goddess, chocolate and incense is a good bet for these guys. So I'd like to tell you the story of Nephthys and Anubis and Osiris, and how Anubis was conceived. Anubis is the son of Osiris and Nephthys. You might be saying, isn't Osiris the husband, rather, of Isis? Well, Nephthys was very unhappy with her husband, Set, the god of the desert, because he was sterile and unable to give her any children. She envied her sister, Isis, for her loving relationship with Osiris, even though Nephthys loved her brother and sister, Isis and Osiris. And so, Nephthys decided to go to Isis's room, put on her clothes, her jewelry, and her perfume to appear as Isis. And so Isis went to the courtyard where Osiris was, and she was weeping. But Osiris came to her and comforted her. And so from there, obviously, they got intimate, and that's how Anubis was conceived. But once Set learned of the adulterous ways of his wife Nephthys, he became very angry with her and tried to kill Anubis. But Isis, with her love of her sister, took Anubis and hid him and raised him as her own. And Anubis was a loving son to his aunt and to his mother. And when he needed to, he helped them in the best way possible. When, after Set chopped Osiris's body into thousands of pieces, and Isis and Nephthys found all the pieces, it was Anubis who was able to mummify them, able to mummify Osiris, and then Osiris was reborn as the god of the underworld. I would like to talk a bit about the appearance of some of these gods. Now, a lot of people have a difficult time telling these gods and goddesses apart. So we are going to have a close look here at Our Lady Isis. Isis, her name means, in Egyptian, it is Aset, which means throne. And you can see her headdress there kind of looks like a chair. That is a throne. That's how you can tell Isis apart. And her sister Nephthys. She has a house and a bowl upon her head. And that's how you know it's Nephthys. And now another common misconception. People will see a statue of Set, and they will think it's Anubis here. Now you can tell Anubis, he looks like a jackal, because he's a jackal, but even archaeologists aren't quite sure what Set is supposed to be. Now there is a mythical creature, kind of like America's Bigfoot, that's elusive, that looks like Set. It's called a Set creature. Otherwise, Set's viewed as a donkey or an anteater. I think he's more closely resembled to an anteater myself. So yeah. And then I would like to talk about, well, yes, in a quick overview, you can always tell if it's Horus the Younger, if he's got the crown of Upper and Lower Egypt, compared to Ra here, who has the sun disk. Now, when you see the statue online, it'll say a statue of Horus. That's not Horus, people. That's Ra. Big sun disk. Big! Alright, now I'd like to finish up this video and talk about something that's a little bit outside of the Egyptian pantheon, concept-wise, that is. The triple goddess and the triple god. Now, an example of a triple god in the Egyptian pantheon is Khepri, Ra, and Amun. Khepri is the rising sun. Ra is the midday sun, when the sun is at its peak, at its brightest. And Amun is the evening sun, setting sun. Now, an example of the Egyptian triple goddess, Hathor, Bast, and Sekhmet. Hathor can be viewed as a maiden goddess because she is youthful, she enjoys music, dancing, drunkenness, enjoying life. Bast, she is a mother, she protects her young. And Sekhmet, she can be seen as a crone, wise and ruthless, cunning and strong, and wisdom. Alright, people, well, I hoped you enjoyed that. Hope you've learned something, or you've just enjoyed looking at some pretty statues this entire time and me rambling about the gods. And until next time, from Lady Nephthys, May blessed be.
This is Lady Nephtes of Universal Pagan Temple. Please show your love and support by donating $5 to $20 to universalpagantemple.org. May the power of the goddess be within you always. And until next time, blessed be.